the production quality is excellent.
Yeah. Well, on that note, that's a great note to start on. We are back, guys. Happy Monday. I hope your weekend was fantastic. And it is episode 97. We're episode 97. I want to know from everyone that's playing at home what you guys reckon we should be doing for episode 100. It's going to be happening next Wednesday, I believe.
Who's your guess?
Next Wednesday. Well,
It's pretty hard to go past Laura, really.
I think you're like not going to argue with that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe flip the table. Maybe Laura interviews you.
Maybe Laura interviews me. Yeah, we could absolutely do this.
It's streaming to Brendan Carter.
It is streaming to Brendan Carter. Yes, for all of my friends and family back home, we're streaming direct on my personal page as well as Unico, as well as everything else. Lovely to see you. All right, let's rock and roll straight into it, guys. I've got another amazing guest to introduce you guys to, as we do always. But this particular guest is actually really something special because I know that there's been plenty of people out there that have been asking for something aside from the Barossa, something aside from McLaren Vale, something aside from Adelaide Hills, and we have gotten a lot of love from those regions. But it's been a little bit difficult to get anyone from interstate. Fortunately, there is actually someone who has a connection to another incredible wine region, a very important wine region. I actually believe the first wine region. I'm pretty confident it's the very first wine region in Australia.
Yep.
So I would like to introduce you to Ollie Margan.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
so
having
much.
me.
No, thanks for joining us. First things first. Let's dispose of this. Let's get some wine into glasses.
Yep.
And let's jump straight into wine because obviously you're from a wine family.
Certainly am. Yep.
Obviously with the last name Margan.
Yep.
But now this is going to sound terrible. When I moved to South Australia, I only learnt about Margan quite late in the piece. Like I only learnt through actually a joint friend of ours, James Rowanowski.
Of course.
Like, he's from Margan. I was like, who? So who's Margan? And then little did I know how much little I knew about wine. So tell me about Margan. Tell me the origin.
So I mean, my father is first generation winemaker, but his father was, I guess, first generation vineyard and grape grower. My grandfather, my late grandfather, was a journalist and a fairly important journalist in food and wine. He was actually one of the first food and wine writers in Australia. He has published several books on wine. One called The Grape and I, which is actually like a fairly cult-like book. It's pretty funny. It's very awkward to read.
But it's a cult-followed book in is it like in niche circles, like in wine nerd circles?
Yeah, like
I need to read this book.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's a copy at Proof. When you're in Proof, I found a signed copy in the Hindley Street secondhand bookstore, and I brought it for the guys at Proof as a Christmas present one time. So I thought it was pretty funny. So it's up on the shelf there if you want to have a flick through. It's kind of musings and observations on wine culture in Australia at the time. Yeah, pretty funny.
Anyway, but when was that written? I'm quite curious now. Like it was observations.
Well, that would have been, I think, probably 70s. I think it's 70s.
That's really interesting because obviously 70s, like we're having sort of like a 70s revival thing in many different aspects of global culture right now. And of course, like there's this whole sort of zeitgeist movement of natural wine, and there's this whole, constantly sort of changing dynamic that we have in the world of wine. Is it the same? Like you've obviously read the book, I assume.
I haven't been able to finish it.
No! Dad wrote a book. It was followed by all the nerds in wine.
So this is my grandfather, but my father.
So grandfather.
This is my grandfather. Wrote this book. He was a journalist. And anyway, so he moved up to Hunter Valley. He was the copywriter for what was the Australian Bureau of Wine, which is the thing that Len Evans set up. He had his office in Bulletin Place, which is now the bar Bulletin Place.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And so that was my grandfather's office, and they had the Mondays Club, which the Premier and like Prime Ministers and people would go for these Monday lunches. And anyway, my grandfather rolled with that crew. He bought a property which is next door to Tyrrell's, which is a fairly important, one of the first families of wine in Australia.
Yeah.
The property next door. And he planted a vineyard there, and my dad's parents were split up, and so on the weekends he'd stay with his with his father, and then that's how he started. He sort of started working at Tyrrell's on the weekends, started doing vintages, and worked for Tyrrell's for 20 years before going off on his own. So that was the sort of the segue into the wine industry for I guess for my family. Did a few years doing the flying winemaker thing in Bordeaux. Made wine in Moldova, of all places.
What he did?
He made wine in Moldova. I lived in Moldova in the first year of my life, 1992. So in the political context of the world, that is like just the end of the Soviet Union, like this USSR. They've only just started letting people into the Eastern Bloc.
I went like 6 minutes in, and this is like the most captivating story I've heard in a while.
And so, as like a 6-month-year-old, my parents, with my parents, were living in Moldova, and my dad was making wine to sell into UK supermarkets because it was really cheap to do so there. And
Holy
the company
crap.
that he was working for was then bought by Penfolds, and John Duval and stuff came in after him. There's a bit of a weird connection between Australian winemakers and Moldova. Justin Lane made wine in Moldova as well. Yeah, exactly right.
I am just like flabbergasted, man.
Yeah,
that is
anyway,
like
cheap Chardonnay to UK supermarkets. Pretty funny.
Well, all right, fine. In your own words, so coming from obviously your grandfather, we'll get on to Margan and the estate later on.
Yeah.
But in your own words, what do you do in the industry now?
Well, I guess it's a few different things. Wine is certainly like a focal point, but I guess I interact with it in a few different ways. Like I go home and do vintage each year. I'm now like distributing our brand in SA.
No shit.
But then I'm also, I guess, a wine buyer for venues. Some venues that I'm involved in, and then in my spare time I enjoy it a lot.
That's incredible. So we're gonna do something new this time, and it's new for everyone at home, and it's new for definitely new for you. It's new for me. We've come up with a new segment of the show. It's called Prove Me Wrong.
Right.
Because I'm actually known for some quite outlandish statements on the show, which I've had actually proven back to me in the last 97 episodes. Like, we'll talk about Uffe.
Yeah.
I made a statement a couple of episodes ago.
Finland, right?
The guy from Norway?
Norway.
He's Danish, as we found. He's Danish, definitely Danish. I will definitely not live that. He won't let me live that down.
Yeah.
It's an entirely new segment. It's called Prove Me Wrong. New Hunter Valley, Semillon, New South Wales.
Yep.
Yeah, one hit wonder. You know, lemon pucker and nothing else, lasts a really long time, but that's all it really does. Prove me wrong.
Well, I think like this is probably a good example of that, because this is a very young Semillon, but we make it in a different style, like wild ferment, extended lees contact. It definitely gets cleaned up. It obviously still has a lot of high level of natural acidity. That's the nature of the climate, the soil, and the varietal. But I think there's genuine texture in that wine. It is the acid profile can be fairly aggressive for people used to drinking white wine from other regions. I think Clare Valley is like not a bad.
I wouldn't call this aggressive at all. I'd actually call this like really quite sort of heated and really quite well balanced.
Yeah.
How long's Margan been set up for? It's been since the 70s?
No. No. So planted our first vines 96, first vintage 97.
Have you seen things from like the late 90s? Like I assume Semillon must have been in the array of first varieties.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of our other vineyard holdings are quite old blocks that we didn't plant ourselves of Semillon, Chardonnay, and Shiraz. And that's definitely the three focal point varieties.
So how does it age?
Well, it ages really well, and then obviously with since Screw Cap, and the Hunter was quick adopters of that. So we've everything from about 2002 onwards, most of the way across the valley. Ages obviously very, very well. I mean, it's one of those things. I think like that sort of wine style, that super old style, is super impressive. But sometimes it maybe lacks a little bit of the just enjoyment factor with wine, and I find it...
That with anything deep fried is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. just to cut through that fat. Aromatic like things like Asian
this is almost like a
belly,
keto-friendly wine.
Yeah.
This is like anything that's got outrageous amounts of fat and protein.
To cut through it. Seafood's obvious pairing as well, things like that.
Well, whilst we're talking about pairings, we haven't done something for a while on this show. And I'm actually on a diet right now. And courtesy of this show, in fact, this show caused me to put on 7.5 kilos. However, trawling through your Instagram, I found something really interesting. This little thing right here, I would like to know, how does that pair with Hunter Valley Semillon, and in particular, if you couldn't pair Hunter Valley Semillon with it, what would you pair?
Well, okay, so Hunter Valley Semillon with a Chico roll is an
Classic.
absolute no-brainer. But Chico roll for me is a vintage snack. I don't reckon I have had it at any time of the year other than during vintage.
Is it Aussie? Does anyone here know if Chico rolls are Aussie or American?
No, it has to be Aussie.
Oh, it's Aussie?
Yeah.
Who makes the Chico roll? Okay, is there a company called Chico that's just like banging out Chico rolls somewhere in like that county of like Victoria somewhere? That's incredible. Well, tell us actually. Speaking of antics in the winery, Chico rolls and the like. What's going on?
Oh, that is a personal favourite. So obviously a mutual friend of ours, James Branowski. That was a vintage dinner that sort of got a little bit carried away, and we ended up back in the winery. We have a row of like 10,000 litre tanks. So I guess, about 4 meters, 4.5, 5 meters tall.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that row is a small 2-ton open fermenter. So only about sort of this high with an open top. It always gets a small pick of something in it. Anyway, at some point we had thought that while it was full of fermenting grapes, that we should have a diving contest with judges judging the swan dives off the top of the fermenters into the open fermenter. And then that sort of that ended up with just 5 people in a fermenter swimming around, and someone captured that photo of James Branowski looking kind of like the Passion of Christ.
It was a bit like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was pretty funny. James, we had we had to sort of ban him from drinking on some of the vintage dinners because he would just get...
He'd just send it, bro.
Yeah.
He'd send it.
Yeah.
So obviously the James that we're referring to is from Small Island Wines. James, I hope you're doing well if you're chiming in. We've had James's wines on the show a few times before. One of the best gamets actually out of the country. I firmly believe
his
that.
booze is excellent. And
Small
another one of
Island
those
wine's
people
incredible.
like yourself, just like a million projects on the go at all times and seemingly pulling it all off.
Well, I want to talk to you about that because a million projects. How many venues are you involved in?
Well, we opened Show about 4 weeks ago, and that was number 7 that I'm sort of directly involved in. Yeah.
And if I heard correctly, you said your sort of first year was 1992, as in first year of existence was 1992.
Yes.
So when it comes to this, how old were you here? Because that was 2014, I believe. You won possibly your first cocktail competition. That was maybe the Suntory couple was something to do with chartreuse.
Chartreuse, yeah,
absolutely.
So I was that must have been. I was working at Proof. So it would have been...
Because you cut your teeth at Proof, didn't you?
It's my first bar job.
Yeah, wow.
So and that opened in August, I think this week, 2013.
7 years ago.
And then Maybe May opened July 2014. So I worked there for just shy of a year.
Yep.
And it was sometime in that time frame.
And
that bottle that I won, which is in a beautiful wooden box, I went back to Proof after and clearly it had too many shots of chartreuse and left it, and they didn't tell me about it, and they just one day they just put it up on the shelf and they just didn't tell me about it, and one day I was like, is that the thing that I won? And they're like, yeah, you left it up left it out the front door.
Well, guys, if Proof is ringing any bells with you guys, Proof, of course, Adelaide bar, absolutely fantastic. I believe the first or one of the first of the small bar licenses.
Very first small bar license.
And you've all met Shane Ettridge on the show in one of the very early episodes, I think in the 30s or the 40s. We're talking in decades now. But you wrote an article actually about Proof in Bartender magazine. It was absolutely incredible, commenting on obviously the fact that they've hit the 7-year mark. And it was something that when Shane was on the show, we actually commented quite a lot because, you know, and I'm mimic something that you've actually said in numerous amounts. I listened to a lot of you speaking today, mate. is this 5-year thing? Is this 5-year, you know, having to do a revamp? Most people after 4 or 5 years, they you know, the patronage starts to drop off, so they, you know, revive themselves and such. May's gone through a revival, but it's never been a big revival. It's been a tweak. It's been an optimization. It's been very, very small.
Yeah.
You know, but what do you reckon Proof has? What's the secret sauce? 7 years, and they're just going stronger than ever.
I reference it in that thing, but it's honing your product from a point of being receptive to your guests. So I think a crucial element is the fact that both Joe and Shane spend a tremendous amount of time in the venue, engaging with customers. So in terms of predicting and thinking about what an evolution looks like, when you're that in tune with what's going on in the space, it's pretty easy to just slowly hone that offering. So and that optimization, as you say. Whereas if you're someone that's you're running it from the numbers point of view and what you think it is that people want, you know, that development of a venue can seem a little bit more erratic and a little bit more random. And it's kind of like, you know, if you've got that tree in your backyard and like after 10 years, all of a sudden it's a massive tree and you haven't really noticed it change day to day.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you couldn't think back and when it did get tall, you know. I think if you can slowly evolve your space like that, you need to be. I think it's that constant change, but never really seeming like anything's changing. And so you keep that comfortability there.
Absolutely.
And I think they've done a particularly good job of that, because if you look back to what it was like at the beginning, which is when I worked there, and what it looks like now, it's very different. But it is so driven by the customer. And as I said, if you think back, you couldn't really identify the day that anything actually changed in there. And I think that for me, that's the important brilliance that they've managed to do.
So we're gonna need some more wine. Let's move on to the next one. I'm keen. No, I'm captivated. So show, which opened, was what did you say, your 7th or your 8th? Forgive me.
7.
So seven venues in 5 years. You know, did coronavirus, when it hit, obviously, you know, we were all forced to lock down, and of course, you know, our compatriots over in guys, can you put some wine?
Albarino.
When coronavirus caused a lockdown first in South Australia, and, you know, touch wood, we don't go down to another one. Was it a wake up call for you about how quick you were moving to have everything stop? Yeah. Was it like a?
Yep.
What was it like after, like, you know, such a, what I would determine to be a meteoric rise? What was it like to line up for unemployment benefits?
Oh, yeah, it was. There was definitely a bit of a breakdown moment. I think you don't realize, you know, when you're on a roll and you got that momentum going, and you're just like yes, opportunity, and you don't really think about what for failure looks like when everything's going so right, because you're operating with a level of confidence that nothing's going to happen, and then something like Corona comes in and is so out of your control, and you know, no one could conceive that something like this was going to happen. It was going to, you know, basically shut down so much industry for such a period of time. Like, and you're not going to operate with that in your head as a potential outcome. And so for that to just come out of nowhere and rock everyone the way that it did, I think like the reality really hit home when I started having those conversations with all my staff, and there was a lot of phone calls, and across our group, it's hundreds of people that were becoming unemployed, and it wasn't even as simple as that, because we didn't know what that looked like. We didn't know we didn't know time frames. We didn't know what benefits they'd be. This is before even like
job constantly changing every sort of 3 days.
Exactly,
something
right.
else and something else and something else.
And to feel, you know, to go from a position where you're in control of everything at all times to just being like, I don't have the answers. For me, that was like, I felt this sense of, you know, letting people down because I was the person that's supposed to give the assurance and to have the answers, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, you know. And so that was pretty rough period getting my head around that. I actually went home. I went back to the Hunter Valley because I'd just been moved out of my house, and then I moved in with my partner. But she had so much stuff on the go. She was finishing a law degree, and then obviously all went onto the online platform. She does a lot of graphic design work, and so all of that stuff was still online. But she was operating from home, and I just moved in there, and I kind of felt like I was.
It was one of those like, hey, we're moving in together, but we don't want to do that right now.
Yeah. And I just sort of felt like I was just stepping on her toes a little bit because I was, you know,
He's a gentleman too, ladies.
I just I didn't know what was going on in my head, and I was like, look, there's work to be done on the farm. My parents had obviously...
Because it was obviously at the back end of vintage, I must imagine, for you guys.
It was. And I went back in May. I went back in May for 3 weeks when we started pruning, because we basically stood everyone down, and we'd just come off a pretty challenging harvest. 2020 in the Hunter was very difficult for reasons of, you know, on the back of 4 years of drought, so yields were down a lot. And then...
Were you guys affected by the fires?
Massively. So, you know...
Are there wines that you just didn't make this year that were like really important wines?
We just didn't make any important wines. So we don't buy any, we made wine, we don't buy any fruit. So it's all off our own vineyards. So like, it's not a case of, you know, just not buying fruit from some of this. You've got to do something. You've got to do it. But everything that would, you know, you've got stuff that goes into like a $50 land a bottle of wine that you're basically, you know, rushing straight through, no extraction, not putting it into oak, and trying to get it into Dan Murphy's as quickly as possible, kind of deal.
Just to keep things like alive.
Yeah, and fortunately, you know, the retail space, I don't know how it was for you guys, but the retail space sort of picked up a lot. And obviously we're not selling any of those wines through restaurants, so all the premium wines, sort of the sales stalled, and then it was picked up massively by the lower end. So it kind of actually helped us overall. Yeah. But things that we normally, you know, bring in, you know, pruning crews and that sort of thing was not really money we wanted to spend. So we sort of did it all in house. So I went home, and we've got 100 hectares of vines.
So you did the opposite of what I did. Like, I put on ISO pounds. You went and burned them.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Well, talk to us about this wine, because this smells incredible. This is the most Albarino smelling Albarino I've ever tried out of Australia. Like, this is incredible. You should, like, how did this happen?
So, like, pretty well all our different varietal stuff is obviously has stemmed from places that we'd like to travel to as a family, and I don't know why.
Portugal's just really high on the agenda.
Okay. I don't really know why the old man had a particular affinity with Albarino specifically, but I think we wanted to. Verdelho was a big. It takes up a lot of area of planting in the Hunter Valley for whatever reason.
Makes no sense, because like for dry white, pretty boring.
He's boring.
I mean, it is built for, like, it can make interesting wine. I mean, anyone that's going to slam Madeira needs to be prepared to fight, Verdelho needs to be prepared to fight Madeira, which is one of the, if not the most longest lived wine in existence.
Yeah.
You know, but as a dry white.
But as a dry white, it's pretty
high alcohol too.
Middle of the road. Yeah, and just tropical. And from a winemaking perspective, it's pretty uninspiring to make. You know what I mean? You're not really achieving anything. You're not making something you're particularly proud of as a, you know, you wouldn't show it off, for example. And so we were looking at, like, you know, options to, I mean, Semillon is obviously that really linear, sort of, it can be a little bit more austere, and having something that would, I guess, be an aromatic vehicle out of the Hunter. And, you know, Sauvignon Blanc is not something we wanted to do, and you know, like Riesling and those sort of things we can't do there. And so Albarino, obviously there was that first scene with the Sauvignon, and then the first round of of actual Albarino that came into Australia, we sort of had our name on the list for, and so we got that first round of cuttings.
Yep. You didn't plant up a bunch of Sauvignon instead?
No.
That was like a swing and a kind of a mini hit for a lot
Yeah,
of the natural
I reckon.
winemakers that were doing like
100%.
a lot of the stuff that was like the Jura style, like Sauvignons is dope, you know?
And all of a sudden they can go and buy like fruit from mature Sauvignon vineyards in the
can do
Adelaide
that.
Hills.
Yeah. It's like, it was as opposed to what happened with, what was it recently? It was was it Carignan? Yeah. Carignan that ended up being Bonvedro, and we were like, fucking what? Like, what's Bonvedro? But this is amazing. Like, you guys, like, serious? Do you realize how good this is?
Well, I think it is. I mean, there's not heaps of comparisons, but I mean, I think because the acid profile that we get in the Hunter lends itself. Because for me, Albarino is like two different styles. You've got those quite broad, almost like a bit ripe,
oily,
like alcoholic, oily styles. It's like the way like Riesling, if you go across there into the
hyper aromatic lean and
Mosel or you know Alsace.
Yeah.
And that's for me. That's,
except at a higher extreme with Albarino.
Yeah. And so we've got this lovely like sandy flat on our home property. Planted it there. Thought free draining. Albarino does quite well with high UV exposure as well. It gets really big canopy, so you get really good shading on the fruit. It can, it's fairly drought tolerant. It gives this nice little like salinity.
How does it go with, because obviously being a Portuguese of origin, obviously it's used to getting wet feet. And Hunter is known for, the fact that it's probably the wettest, or one of the wettest regions in the country. Yeah. It seems to make a lot of sense, but if it's got a really big canopy, aren't you going to expect it to kind of like get a little bit of disease on it?
We get it off before, it's February that is when we get the rains. But we started
this is off in Jan.
Yeah, we started picking on the 3rd of January this year. So like, yeah.
You don't even get time off for New Year's.
No,
you're like,
it will be in the next few years that we harvest fruit in December. It's like...
Well, you have special dispensation by Wine Australia for label, what they call the label integrity program, because quite often Hunter Valley is harvesting, like, say, the 2021 vintage in December 2020.
Yeah, well, it hasn't quite happened yet, but there was a number of people that picked on the 1st of January this year. And when I started... it
was a drought year, obviously. It was at least for us it was. I'm not sure how it was in Hunter. I don't really
we were 4 years of drought, which has broken...
Finally,
technically. But it's pretty crazy. I guess like growing grapes is... I think you're one of the most receptive to changes in climate, because the parameters for grape growing is so minuscule compared to other crops that you really do notice those shifts, those small climatic shifts. And the fact that when I first started doing vintages, 13, 14, Australia Day was the day in my head when we started vintage.
Well, I want to talk to you about sustainability and stuff like that, because I know that you're a massive proponent for that. But I just want to jump straight to the comments. Kerry, Cody, Steve, Jicky, Yuko, thanks so much for chiming in. Cody, that was Grape and I?
The Grape and I.
The Grape and I is the name of that book. Had a great lunch at Margan Estate earlier this year. Thanks so much, Jicky. Great chat. Marcus Moderum chiming in. The inventor of the Chico roll was a Victorian Boilermaker.
That makes sense.
There you go.
Enjoyed by many Boilermakers.
And enjoyed with Boilermakers, I'm sure.
Yes.
Wait, Chico roll doesn't have any chicken in it?
No, it has like you just basically soak it in chicken salt, but which probably also doesn't have chicken in it.
So you're teaching me things, guys. This is fantastic. Michael Cope, a couple of good-looking roosters there. G'day, Justin. Thanks for chiming in. And Sam Bygrave, champs. Sam, lovely to hear from you, man.
In happy retirement.
In happy retirement, of course. Now, we're halfway through. You've brought an amazing blind tasting wine. Laura, would you mind passing up those glasses, pretty please?
Man, these things make
very much
stuff tricky, hey?
They are. Well, they're meant to. I'm not gonna look. But you'll need to pass it to Laura so she can let everyone know at home what I'm trying to guess. Thank you very much. Ooh, that's interesting.
I think she's going to be confused by the label as well.
So whilst we're guessing, now obviously we studied together. We were like, I think you might have been a year ahead, then a year behind, or anything like that. There was a few other things that you were doing, and I'm pretty confident. Though, did you finish?
Last subject.
Oh really? You're about to finish, but you're already a fully fledged winemaker now. Because tell me about this.
Smoke and mirrors. Yeah, that was pretty funny. So, I made a wine, 2013. I'd just been like, finished high school 2010, did the gap year thing in 2011, did 3 vintages back to back, and then started my degree.
Was that like Australia, New Zealand, like
border? Yeah,
Bordeaux,
did Central Hunter, Central Otago.
Of course, you can do that. Yeah, of course, because you're a hunter and you start picking like at Christmas.
Yeah, it was. I probably wouldn't make a habit of that because that was from
pretty brutal.
First week of January to June long weekend of vintage hours. And
you don't mind burning a bit of calories, do you? You're like, no, it's 7 venues, 5 years, don't worry, 3 vintages back to back.
Gotta keep moving.
How do you get the energy?
I don't know. I'm sure it's going to dissolve at some point. But then started the degree, and so like I was so full of enthusiasm for like, I want to make my own wine kind of deal. And anyway, I've been bugging my dad, and he found a few rows of Pinot Gris at the end of a block of Semillon that he was getting some fruit from, and said, look, there you go pick it yourself, you can make it. I was speaking to him about a wine brand and stuff, and he said, look, the easiest wine you'll ever sell is your first 200 cases. The real test is if you can keep selling wine after that. I said, fantastic, I'm gonna make one wine, I'm gonna make 200 cases of it. And
okay, just quite cap it at that.
That's it. Yeah, so I made one wine, made 200 dozen of one wine in 2013 under my own label. But funny like turn of events, like that project bought my share in Maybe May, which is the first venue that allowed me to propel into the next. So like again, wine is constantly entwined with my story in whatever whatever chapter. But yeah, Smoke and Mirrors. So it's like a field blend, sort of bit skinsy, bit oxidative. A bit of fun. I still got a 6-pack of it.
It's called what they call a Ramato style Pinot Gris. So it's actually a legitimate style when you leave Pinot Gris and a little bit of skins and get that nice orange, deep orange color.
Yep.
And it's called Ramato, means copper in Italian. It's actually a very, very common style to do with specifically, it's actually, many would actually call that the OG, like contemporary orange wine. Was Ramato. They've been doing it for ages. A very, very common drink. Cool. But this though, this is a fun drink. This smells incredible. It smells hands off. It smells like minimal intervention kind of dealio. And it smells like barbecue shapes. Like a very winemaker-y term from me this evening. Of course, got the comments down. Hopefully, Laura, have you? Yep, everyone should know what I'm trying to guess at the moment. But this is fun.
Yeah. So, New World, Old World?
I think New World.
New World?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah. It's too fresh.
Yeah.
And I think this is like a real low sulfur number. So like if it had come from overseas, it would have been a minimum of 2018 vintage, and it would have been a little bit more cooked than this.
Right. Okay. Is
countries.
It? Well, let's we'll do regions.
Yeah.
Is it from the Adelaide Hills? Is it from the Yarra Valley, or is it from the Mornington Peninsula?
Oh, that's a fun one. That's a fun one. Okay. I think it's from the Adelaide Hills.
Right.
Based on its...
It's from Mornington?
Yeah, wow, that's actually really interesting.
Right. So, this wine is a blend.
Okay.
Of equal parts of two
varieties?
Yep. Name one of them.
Damn. Yeah, it's called Wesset Level Super Saiyan right here. That's what we're doing.
I maybe clues thinking about the varietals that would link those three regions that I said before.
Can I just name two and just see if they're the two?
Yeah, sure.
Pinot and Sauvignon Blanc.
One of those is correct.
Yeah, right.
So it is Pinot. The other 50% component has historical significance of where we are now, is in this area, the Adelaide Hills.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think it is?
Merlot.
Do you think it's Vitis vinifera?
Serious? Really?
Do you think it's Vitis? Is the other variety, is it Vitis vinifera? All right, I'll give you a list of 3 varieties.
What the fuck is this, Ollie? This is insane.
All right, is it
What the fuck is this?
Is it all right, I'll give you 2 options. Is it Bing or Morello?
Is it fucking what?
Is it Bing or Morello?
What the fuck is Bing? That's awesome. So this is Vitis Labrusca.
It's Cherries.
You serious?
It's Pinot. It's Morello Noir. So it's a blend of Pinot Noir and Morello cherries.
You know, I actually fielded an inquiry this week as someone wanting to review fruit wines. Fruit wines is becoming a thing. In the States, it's a massive industry.
We make them at the bar.
You actually, I want to talk to you about that because you made a model wine. But before we actually jump on there, I want to. So, the fuck is this?
Do you know Yuri Zenenko?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his wine. Calyx.
This is. I have never encountered anything like this. We definitely have never had anything like this on the show.
No, I thought it'd be a fun way to, because I hadn't tried it yet either. I thought it'd be a fun context to try it in.
Pinot Noir plus cherries. Technically, you can't call it Morello Noir. Has to call it Pinot Morello because it has to be the predominant voluminous thing in the. Well, maybe it's majority cherry. You know what? Doesn't taste like cherries.
No.
It tastes delicious though. Tastes like wine. Just tastes like a really cool, hands-off, well-made wine.
Yeah, I reckon it's yum. James Erskine made a cherry wine, and he got me to come up to his place and have a look. And this thing was you'd have to tell me that it was cherries. It was very vinous, and it was so concentrated and so
I think that's
dark.
a really cool aspect of it. Like you nailed it. It's vinous.
Yeah.
It actually tastes like wine.
Yeah. Which I guess I was listening to a good podcast the other day. A Newcastle guy named Dan Honey. He's got a new podcast called The Fermenting Place, and it's really good. He was talking to Ashley Huntington from 2 Meter Tall Brewing.
Yeah.
And he sort of remarked on, someone just decided that grapes were what was going to be considered wine, but like it could have been any other fruit, and we probably could have got to a point with enough time where that product was, of equal significance or equal like seriousness.
Yeah.
Someone just decided that grapes was it at some point. There's the same like varietal, like cherry varietals of cherries are so diverse. For example,
Massively.
You've got some that taste like stone fruit and some that taste like, jam and mulberries and, it's... Anyway. Thought that might be...
Is James your brother?
James...
Margan?
Yes.
Only Margan family without a degree and only one with 3 businesses. Gotta love brothers. Good question. This is so mean. Yes, it was very mean. But I'm really impressed, actually. Honestly, that is... if anyone can jump onto this gentleman. So firstly, whatever label he's used, it's incredible. It's actually really. It's almost like it's
letterpress.
Letterpress.
Yeah.
It's probably the most beautiful wine label I've seen on a wine bottle in a very, very long time. Calyx wine, guys. You got to check this one out. This is incredible. I'm not sure how did you actually get your hands on this?
Well, he's one of my closest mates.
Yeah, right.
And he sent me down a little mix 6-pack at the start of ISO.
Champion.
Yeah, he's done 5 vintages with us there. But I started studying with him. Is how I met him. But all these friends that I started studying with in 2012 are now off well and truly
finished their degrees. All right. Well, I mean, okay. You're into quirky sort of blends, and obviously Margan's playing around with things like Albarino. But Margan's been playing around with something else that has actually come up on the show a couple of times before. In fact, we were actually asked for this wine to be shown on the show and spoken about. This is before this was happening. But I didn't realize that you've been playing around with this for a little while now. Talk to us about Ripasso. Because that's a really interesting sort of winemaking technique. And I find it really interesting that Margan's been playing around with it.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been influenced by Mediterranean styles from day one. I think the idea of Ripasso, we had a string of some really good vintages, and I guess we wanted to make a wine that had sort of a bit more sort of evolved in terms of power and tannin structure. And so this idea of basically freshening up previous vintage wine from barrel over the next vintage's skins, giving it an extra little bit of fermentation, developing those extra tannins, complexity, was just kind of like, seemed like an interesting, fun idea. And then we did it once, and then we're like, oh, let's go over a third vintage. And then it became this kind of like, it's single vintage because it doesn't, percentage-wise, you're not really adding too much more liquid. You're really just putting it over the skins, but just developing those bit more muscular tannins and just, I mean, Hunter is known for sort of bit more sort of medium-bodied, lighter style red wines. Just because of that.
So it's a good way to be able to achieve that stuff that you can't.
Yeah, which is a product that we didn't have for the market, and there wasn't heaps in the Hunter that had for the market in terms of that big, powerful, robust style of red wine. So that's where that was sort of born out of. And yeah, it's whenever we have 3 good vintages in a row. So we've done it. I think we've done it three times now. 3 vintages of it, or 3 or 4 vintages of it.
For those playing at home, I would like to know. Have you ever had Albarino before, and has it been a good experience? But also, have you had any Ripasso style wines before, and has it been a really good experience? So let's talk about things like obviously very, very, very innovative bar concepts, and you've shown the adaptability to be able to jump across, from bartender to winemaker. Som, ever worked in a wine bar before?
No, I worked in a restaurant, but I wasn't.
What do we call it, a som?
Steer clear of that term.
Well, what do you think? Because you're actually quite a progressive person when it comes to things like sustainability is a hallmark of everything that you do.
For sure.
What do you think Australian wineries therefore are missing? What are their opportunities to innovate? Where have they clearly missed the whole beat when it comes to?
Well, I don't know, and I guess this is only coming from my opinion and what I would like to achieve with my winemaking career, and I think a little bit less in terms of I feel like people I'm just trying to think of the best way to articulate this without offending people.
No, you're going to offend people all the time. But seriously, I do.
I feel like there's a bit of this the natural wine thing. For me, a lot of these wines actually are less about a sense of place and more about what happens in the winery.
Totally.
And the fact that they don't do much in the winery does not make it a better expression of the place. It actually makes it an expression of whatever neglect has been there, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely. So this was described to me best by a good friend of mine, Tim Wildman. Amazing wine producer, MW, very amazing wine mind. And he pointed out to me something, I really love it when people articulate things we're talking about, really, really well. That, some of these wines that are coming out of the natural wine movement, and he's a big basher for it. In fact, he makes wine using the same philosophy. But some of the wines coming out of that movement as arbitrarily as close to showcasing a sense of place as something like, Jacob's Creek Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Nothing gets either or.
Yeah.
They serve a purpose, but overrate Chardonnay is showing vastly the same amount of winemaker input as something that is showcasing no input, where input should probably have.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is at the moment a development of the natural winemaking methodology is becoming a confirmation factor of really good site selection. We're focused on as we always have in Australia, the process.
Yeah.
As opposed to site selection and the growing of.
Yeah.
If we focused more on that, we could probably achieve this much easier. If it was it was something like an Albarino, and you've got to let's crack into it now because I think it's really important.
Barbera.
Yeah, because Barbera is. I used to loathe Barbera. I used to think Barbera was just the worst thing ever until I watched it grow. Because Barbera grows in a really interesting way, and it retains. You don't actually watch alcohol content with Barbera.
You watch the acid.
You watch the acid. That's right. You know, the acid is
it's
searingly high.
It's so counterproductive. You make the opposite. You have the opposite decision making process as you would any other varietal.
Yeah.
You're not worried about the Bome, and you have it.
Fudge knuckle. This is awesome. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah.
Crack on with that. That's Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay.
Barbera.
Hunter Valley Barbera is really dope. It smells incredible.
It smells varietal.
It smells like Barbera. It smells like really, really, really well crafted Barbera. If you had given this to me blind, I would. I may not actually pick that as New World.
Yeah.
And that's actually really impressive. Like I've been very quick to jump on the bandwagon of Hunter Valley hating because the timing of harvest and water and et cetera, humidity. But that's if that's what you guys are putting out, that's incredible. That's next level.
Yeah, so we that's from our home block. We planted those vines. The cuttings were literally one stop from Piedmont, so pretty good clonal stock. We have this one block on our area on our home block which has this really rich red volcanic soil, and so it can get some power and intensity, and we can't plant anywhere else. We can't expand the vineyard. It's just the one vineyard, planted in '98. Planted in '98.
That's incredible, man.
It's tasty, hey? It's like
that's incredible. That's next level. That's what you want to see from Barbera in Australia, like that you hope for, but it seems like we never really reached that. Not really with Dolcetto, not really with Barbera. Nebbiolo we're starting to see some sort of really interesting, work with.
Well, I think Nebbiolo will be an important variety in Australian wine moving forward, I reckon.
Well, talking about moving forward, how do you reckon things for wine, like just wineries in general, have changed since COVID?
Well, I think this goes across all industry. It made it very obvious the mechanics of your business and where you relied on, what things that you relied on that you maybe didn't consciously think that you relied on. You know what I mean?
So took for granted a little bit.
Yeah. So whether that's your supply chain or whether that's your sales channels or whether that's it really shone a light on the weak points in your business model, I think. And so at the very least, like, it would provide a pretty good opportunity to go, trim the fat, and maybe go, wow, we really had all our eggs in one basket and we didn't even realize, you know what I mean? You get too carried away chasing a particular product, and then you realize that the only movement of your booze is through restaurants of a particular genre, and it's like, that's probably not that sustainable, and clearly we need to be more diverse than that for this to be a successful and viable thing.
You didn't do what a lot of other bars did, where they were talking about selling bottled cocktails and stuff like that. You went a very different direction.
We I think I put a little bit too much care and thought into every decision that we've made with that place, be it big or small, to rush some business concept that was going to have that brand attached to it on a whim, without having the appropriate amount of time to develop the product. To try and rush something through in the space of a few days for a product that, if I hadn't thought that it was viable for us to do a retail version of that bar previously, then why would you do it now? Why would I do it now? Things were changing every day anyway. So the idea of having to invest money in something that might have only been a 2-week project also seemed a little bit silly to me. And I honestly think for my mental health and for my staff's mental health, the best thing to do was to just stop for a minute and then recalibrate. And fortunately in South Australia, we didn't feel the pinch for as long as the period of time before we could start to look towards reopening was not as long as other places. So yeah, I definitely think that it made the right decisions around what we did. We held on to stock, we paid our bills, and we reopened from a position of strength as opposed to a weakened product.
But not just that, because you are like now planning for quite the event. It's not, and actually capitalizing on a lot of not capitalizing, but actually promoting a lot of those other bars that needed to be able to do like a lot of bottled cocktail concepts.
Yeah.
With this thing called, is it Melbourne Maybe?
Melbourne Maybe.
Tell us about that, because that's an incredible concept. I read about it and I just thought it's freaking fantastic.
Yeah, look, I have a lot of very good friends that work in the Melbourne bar scene. I think hospitality has been really hard done by in this whole thing. We're the first to close and we're the last to reopen. And we've played by the rules the entire time, and they've gone back into another lockdown, and it's not the fault of restaurants and bars, it's the general public and the way that
Do you find it offensive they refer to it as non-essential?
I don't know, because it is non-essential, and it's something that that encourages social interaction with strangers.
Not a good thing.
Yeah, not a good thing. So no, I don't have any qualms with that bit. But I do feel for these people, and I spoke to a few friends, and they're just not getting the same support on this second shutdown as they did on the first. A reference bar like the Black Pearl, they've had that lease. They've been leasing that space for 23 years. And they're not getting rental support because they're selling bottled cocktails, and it's like, can you honestly not see that is not the same business?
It's cost recovery. It's got nothing to do with profit.
Yeah, so I was like, shit, we need tried to think of something that we could do, and a lot of these premium venues have now found a way to do a product that they're happy with in a retail capacity. They're now doing like shipping things interstate.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, fuck, we can surely put up our hands and donate one night of our week to taking those retail drinks and then at least serving them in a bar aesthetic, It's made by a bartender with a glass straight out of the freezer with a big fuck off ice cube, and you get to have the drink of, and like, how long is it going to be till we can go and visit these bars again? Maybe not this year,
Tell me about it.
So we just thought on a number of levels that was the most sensible thing to do. And what they don't need is complications. They don't want to work on some weird collaboration, complex project. They just chuck a few things in a vac bag and send it over, and we'll just pay for it, and then we'll sell it at the same price, and great.
They get the money out of it, and
100%.
you get to be able to support them.
And a lot of it was driven by a few friends. And I'm concerned about their mental health, and if I can create an extra 5 hours work in their week and maybe an extra couple of weeks of rent paid for, I think that's a really good result. And from that one gesture, I don't think it's going to solve the world, but maybe other people look at that and go, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we could do that. We're shut Mondays.
We literally looked at that same idea and we're like, this is actually fantastic, because we've always dreamed of being able to have, like an amazing sort of rock star shift of a venue such as Birdie or Black Pearl roll in and do something awesome. But, we're 40 minutes from the city, and we're not exactly the most pumping bar ever. We're a destination distillery bar.
Sure.
But you could do it that way.
Yeah, and we're not trying to take ownership of this concept. I would really love for people to see this and go to the exact same venues and say, we'll take 100 drinks as well, and we'll do it because we're shut Mondays. Timmy, he's happy to put his hand up and work a shift and sell you drinks, and I've already got a few messages of a few other people trying to do something similar, and so I think that'd be such a bloody great representation of our industry to see that like camaraderie from, you know, these little satellite venues all around Australia.
What's going to happen?
Like,
We're going to make it happen. We're going to make
hands
it happen.
across America style, you know.
We're gonna find a couple of really fun venues. We're gonna do some takeovers here at Applewood. I reckon that would be really dope. We could easily do it. It's so easy for us.
It's so easy, and that's the thing. But like, it wasn't any sort of very unique concept whatsoever. But I think it's a really simple way to give them what they need. Yeah, you know.
Well, I'm going to give you what you need right now, and what you need right now is a whole bunch of blind tasting. So you haven't rocked up here and brought some incredible wines, but to not enjoy the challenge that is blind tasting. We have 3 wines here set up for you. I don't know what they are. You don't know what they are, but make your choice wisely.
I'll take the closest one to me.
Closest one, and. Let me see how that cherry wine.
How's our time?
How's our time? We've got 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
And then Henry's waiting in the wings to chime in. But tell me, while Laura's getting prepped, the difference between bartenders and somms. Is there any? I was going to say, I drew for like 2 responses then, and then I already thought of exceptions to the rule. So. No, there are exceptions to the rule because, you know, you introduced, and you and the team, I should say, it maybe may introduce table service quite a while ago. It must be maybe a year ago.
2016.
2016, more than a year ago. And I was talking to Luke Wordy. In fact, I wasn't talking to him. I was there at Birdie, and we have a really great relationship with Birdie, where we do a lot of their seasonal gins for them.
Absolutely,
really creative concepts.
We
love playing around with them. And it was interesting when they opened up Birdie. I'm not sure if they. I think Luke would say this and be happy to admit this as well. Not too sure what they were actually opening up at the time to see how it would be, because it was quite progressive.
Yeah.
And what they ended up opening was it was almost like a restaurant. When here, Law. It was almost a restaurant. As opposed to, you know, full-blown bar, and then there was bar with like table service, and it was really interesting coming from a obviously a wine background where I'm actually, you know, we have a distillery, but I'm a terrible bartender. You would never ever want me behind the stick, like, I mean, ever. And every time I've deeply embarrassed myself and everyone else around me, including the customers. But I was surprised to see some of the most talented bartenders that I've ever actually met in the industry suddenly actually caught off guard. They were, you know, greeting, and this is saying nothing, they've fine-tuned everything from there. But it was almost like it was so foreign to them to do table service and welcome someone at the door and have them seated. It's almost like they just wanted to be behind the bar again.
Yeah,
it was just really quick to get behind the bar. You know, how did you actually tackle the transition in Maybe May to be able to, you know?
Well, it was funny because we worked out very quickly that literally I had the most floor experience in the whole venue, and my floor experience was 18 months. No one else had worked in a restaurant before, so no one had run a section before, no one had done any like that, and we quickly realized that that's what we're doing right now, you know. And that was a pretty funny thing to try
see them go through.
But it was good because, I mean, I have, like, my team is fantastic. They're so passionate about what they do, and we have a product that has a number of levels of conversation that can be attached to it. So to have that platform where you're not just like making those drinks that are going out into the oblivion, to be able to actually engage at the table, and when you have those people that just really want to hear about it, I think they get a tremendous amount of satisfaction of, you know, working through the week, creating these things that have, you know, weeks of prep for, to then put it in front of someone and someone really resonate with that and be actually interested in learning about it. I think they feed off that quite a lot, and I think that goes both ways. You know, you obviously still have some people that they don't really care, and that's fine. Like, that's absolutely fine. But I think the ability to offer that level to the people that appreciate it, I think is very important.
Well, straight off the bat, we've got some really interesting comments here. Yuko Frost, Brennan, what's the glassware? Not the black right out in front of him, that looks rather nice. These arrived literally as Ollie rocked up. And I was so excited to try them that we decided to actually just bring them on the show. This is from, this is Kimura.
And we didn't break them.
We didn't break them. They look like they're very easy to break. Kimura glassware, I have a bit of a thing for Japanese culture, as you're aware, and particularly Japanese glassware, but this is a glass that is well and truly not available in Australia right now. Margan Wines and Restaurants, so proud of you, Ollie. Big love from the entire Margan team, and don't let us down on this blind tasting.
Hey, fam.
Is literally what they're saying. Which is such great to have such a amazing support. But this smells really fun. This actually, we haven't had a wine like this in blind tasting for a while, actually, and you know, it just speaks, for me anyway, so precisely clear of what it is. Comment it down. Laura's going to let you know what it is.
Here as well.
Yeah. All right. So Laura is playing the options game.
Do you want to have a stab at what it is?
You want to stab? So we're going to power move this.
Yeah.
Do you want to crack it power?
We have two wine professionals here.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna. What's your power move? And then we'll play the game.
I think it's Wynn's Cabernet.
Wynn's Cabernet. I definitely think it's New World Cabernet. I think it's definitely from down that way. There's something about how it's constructed that makes me feel like it's a little bit old worldy. So yeah, it could be Adelaide Hills, it could be Coonawarra. It's sort of like a tit for tat. So
I feel like it's kind of like
it's definitely Cabernet. If it's not Cabernet, I'll leave it
2015, 16 sort of age.
Straight away. I mean, we're definitely jumping on some really sort of amazing, like limestone based.
Is that very classic?
Yeah,
Aussie. Old, like middle-aged Aussie, like old school.
You say middle-aged. What are you talking about, middle-aged?
No, like the wine is
monocle, Chesterfield, stroking the cat in front of the fire.
That not like secondary characters, but old school Australian wine.
I reckon he's absolutely nailed it.
All right. So we'll jump to Australia.
Yep.
Are we in Coonawarra, Margaret River, or Barossa Valley?
Oh. So Coonawarra, Margaret River, or Barossa?
Barossa or Eden?
Well, I said Coonawarra. I could be from South Australia, but I think it's a little bit sweet for Margaret River for mine.
Yeah, Margaret River's a little bit more structured, and it's a little bit sort of like overt use of oak.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going with Coonawarra.
Maybe it's like Shiraz Cabernet, like a
Shiraz Cabernet, yeah, Barossa, classic Aussie.
Which could be that plush.
You are both incorrect.
Oh.
Margs, is it in Margs?
Yeah, it's Margaret River.
Oh, it's on heaven on earth, that's where it's from.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Margs is fantastic. If I wasn't making wine in Adelaide Hills, I'd be making wine on the Sunshine Coast if it could be, but it can't be, so it would be in Margaret River.
Yeah, Margaret River. It is
Margs.
Cabernet.
It is Cabernet.
Vintage.
I reckon
2016.
I'm gonna say older than that if it's from Margaret River. I feel like it's softened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like 09.
Ooh. Where we at?
2015.
Oh wow.
Whoa! All right. What producer here? I mean, like, what? This is incredible. This is. Oh, Twinwoods. Yeah, right. This is fantastic.
I've never seen that label before.
I'm not too sure who distributes it, to be honest. But this is cracking. This is it's got a fair amount of life left in it.
It's pretty big and round for Margaret River, I find.
It's got a overt sweetness to it.
Yeah.
I know. There's a hefty use of oak.
Yeah, which is why I went South Australia.
What's the do you have any idea what the price on this is? Winwood Optimist.
Has it got any connection to Deepwoods? Yeah. No.
It's looking like $40. Yeah. Oh no, wait, maybe not. No, that's in Hong Kong. Someone tell me what's up. I can't even find a price for this. Case of 6, $238. Yeah, I'd part with that. That's incredible. Old World of New World Cabernet.
There you go.
I definitely think we need a crackling fire and that Chesterfield to
Yeah.
really enjoy it.
And a monocle.
And a monocle. Guys, thank you so much for chiming in. We have definitely hit our time. And of course, for those that are on Applewood, stay on Applewood. Henry Hammersley is going to be chiming on our Applewood ambassador based in Victoria. Ollie, mate.
Thanks
so
so much,
man. Seriously, and these wines are absolutely incredible. Albarino Barbera. Holy shit, Batman. That is like next level stuff. Even Semillon. Everyone needs Hunter Valley Semillon. If you haven't tried Hunter Valley Semillon, this is probably one of those hallmark producers to actually like give a crack to be honest, because they're really, really approachable. How much would these set me back?
Like all sub $30.
Oh, sweet. So like 20 something.
Yeah.
Sweet. Seriously. And they're linked up in the description as well. For those Adelaideans that have chimed in, of course, I've also linked up Maybe May in the description. If you want to go and check out all that we've been talking about from the spirit side of things, probably one of the most amazing bars, if not, definitely not probably, definitely one of the most amazing bars in Adelaide that are doing some really great work. We didn't talk about the model wine. We're going to talk about a bunch of things. There's like a ton. I've got a ton of questions for you, but we have to chime out, unfortunately. Steve, Richard, thanks so much for being a live audience. Laura tonight. Noah's got a night off. Laura, thank you so much for playing producer as well. You've been absolutely fantastic, and thank you everyone for chiming in. We've had a bumper audience tonight. It's really humbling, and for anyone that's actually chimed in from Victoria, we all feel for you. We're all going to do our absolute best to be able to support you guys. And until then, we're going to chime out until Wednesday.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers.
Catch you soon.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Here we go! Oh, welcome everyone! Welcome, we're coming to you live from the Danger Zone! I'm going to be saying that every single time we stream for the next 6 weeks. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all with us already. Hello to Peter, Andrew. Yeah, we were running a little late tonight. Sorry for running a little bit late. But Brendan on the Unico stream, he loves to chat, and that's why we love him. They were having a great chat about Maybe May and some of the stuff that they're doing in Adelaide to help support Black Pearl, Capitano, and a whole bunch of other great bars in Melbourne. and helping out those guys. I'm talking about Margan wine, which was pretty dope. So if you want to join the Unicozello stream and learn a bit more about wine, I actually watch it just because I enjoy wine.
Yeah. Tune in before this stream.
Yeah, tune in before this stream. So that's what it's all about. Hello, Emma. Yes, it all kind of ran overtime. Hello, Lady of Botanicals on Instagram. Hello to everyone watching all across Australia. Ben, we're in lockdown, baby.
We are in lockdown.
Woo!
Stage 4 now.
Stage 4. It's awesome. If you are joining us from Melbourne, here we go. Let's do it. 6 weeks. Let's make it happen. Surely DZ is a shot. Danger Zone. I don't think Danger Zone's a shot. I don't think Danger Zone is worthy of a shot,
I don't think
Sasha.
you've used Danger Zone before.
Yeah, I did. Well, I haven't used it before. I think I've said it before. But I think if I say it every single time, it's going to become a repeating thing. If you don't know the man to my right, just by the way, this is Ben, the fantastic venue manager of Brogan's Way Distillery, where we are actually streaming from and where we'll be continuing to stream from all throughout this hellish hellscape that's happening in Victoria, which totally sucks. But we're gonna talk all about brandy tonight, which is gonna be really cool. Yep. Brandy, grape distillate, grappa, a whole bunch of grape stuff. Because we use grape distillate as the base for our gin, which is a really kind of thing that sets us apart. I know Bass and Flinders make their own.
Yes. From kale, I believe.
From kale? What?
From kale.
No, they make it out of grape.
No, not Bass and Flinders. There is a Victorian...
There's someone who makes it out of kale.
There's a Victorian distillery that uses kale as their ferment to make their base.
Yeah.
It will come back to me.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. But but Bass and Flinders definitely make their own grape distillate.
Yes. Not Bass.
Not Bass. Bass, it's kale. What type of grape is that?
It's kale.
It's kale.
It's an interesting new type of grape.
It's kale. Yes. Lucky this work. Lucky this is work, so you get to break curfew. Well, yes. We are going to pretty much end this at 7:30 sharp because we actually do need to get home. We are sorry about that. But that's kind of what happens. So grape distillate's really cool. And if you are a fan of brandy is actually a really cool thing. So most people will know Cognac, of course, and Armagnac. We make a ton of it in Australia, which is super dope. We've been making, brandy for a hell of a long time, over 100 years. We've been making brandy in Australia, which is pretty cool. Tiny Bear use kale.
Yes.
Hello, Kirsten. Good to see you. Hope you're having a sensational evening and surviving and all that jazz.
I hope you're enjoying your 2 passion fruit bottles you bought.
Yes. Yeah, do. I mean, I'm ready. Have you tried them both together? That's what I want to know. Have you tried them both together and done a shot with them?
Yeah, equal parts. I nicknamed it Liquid Passion Fruit. That's it.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
But yeah, if you're a big fan of brandy like me, brandy was my first love, simply because Cognac is wicked. And this is probably one of my favorite bottles. This is Through the Grapevine. This is by La Maison de Whiskey. You can get it from Casa de Vino. So grab some from those guys. But let's have a cocktail. Let's start with a cocktail, and I'll do some talking while you make me a drink.
All right, sounds good.
Scott McLean, do we ship overseas? Hey, if you want to get it, we might. I don't know.
Where are you?
Yeah, where are you, Scott? That's what I want to know. Scott, let us know, my man. And Sam, thank you for joining us. Brandy, yeah, we're going to talk big on brandy today. And hello, Frank About Wine. Hello, Perth Culinary. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining us. Kirsten packed over 650 boxes today. She's tired. I don't fucking blame you.
You were doing the same on Friday.
Yeah, that's massive. Yeah, but it's Fortis. Fortis is just going off for Starwood. Because
I need to get some.
Yeah, I need to get some. Anyway, you've got our first drink this evening.
Yes.
And while you're talking about it, we'll talk about like the brief background of Cognac, which is probably the most famous one that you kind of know of. Mostly made from Ugni Blanc, but they also use. He's in London, England. Do we ship to London?
We can probably work it out.
Yeah.
Shoot me an email. ben@brogansway.com.au, and we will try and get you a bottle to England.
Yeah, and shoot me an email, henry@applewooddistillery.com.au, and we'll see if we can get you some gin or some other stuff.
We'll do it.
We really don't mind. I have not, but that is 100% what I am doing next. What hasn't Kirsten done? Oh, she hasn't tried them both together. That's
yeah,
what
do
it is.
Do it.
Yeah. Do it. Put it in a glass. Knack attack. Here we go. Jess, so good to see you. Thank you for joining us this evening. So yeah, cognac always, as things always happen, started as a medicinal product in France. Cognac has 6 different appellations, which is a pretty cool little fact about cognac, because really, because of the barrel profiles, you can continue making...
Do you want me to explain what I'm doing?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, I do. Yeah, before I start giving a masterclass on cognac.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, tell me what you're doing.
Well, this, Henry gave me a grand total of about 45 minutes.
You don't need to come on.
No, I do need to tell them. So I've only had about 45 minutes to make this, so it's it's a new invention. So we're using the Marionette Apricot Brandy.
Look, in your defense, when
Yes.
you handed this to me and I sipped it, I was extraordinarily impressed.
All I will say about this one is flavor first.
Yeah.
It tastes good. It doesn't look as good as it tastes.
Oh, no, it does.
In my opinion.
No, it looks good.
So what I did with the limited time we had is we made up basically a really nice kind of brandy-ish type of butter earlier. So we're going to put a teaspoon of that in as well.
So how do you make that brandy-ish type butter?
So it's not actually, well, I use Nutlex because that's what I have, so it's not even butter to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
But we did that on purpose because it's a vegan-friendly alternative.
Yeah.
I swear.
It is.
It's not just all I had in the fridge.
Yeah.
And then what else did I put it in? I used some wattle flour, which I've also got here, which I've dried a little bit as well. If the camera I might go forward.
Yeah, you can see it.
You can see it. So that's actually now caramelized as well. And then we put some cinnamon sugar, a little bit of vanilla in there as well, some smoked hickory, and some apricot and fig bitters as well. So that's kind of the base for it to start off with.
Ooh, yum yums.
So yeah, so we got the apricot brandy in there, the butter. Then we need some of this kind of like buttery mix, which looks a bit strange now.
Buttery mix?
Well, yeah.
Hold on. You've got butter and buttery mix. What's going on?
Well, this is okay. So
I didn't watch him make this. So I'm watching this for the first time.
This is the strained off butter that was
okay.
in there.
Yeah.
To add a little bit more texture and flavor, but then I'm actually still going to use this, which is the hot buttery stuff. This also has a little bit of Brogan's Way Hearts of Fire, which has cloves, nutmeg, aniseed, and cinnamon in there. So it all kind of works to make this kind of, I don't know, it doesn't really have a name yet.
When you handed me that, I had a taste of it, and I said, "Oh, that's a nice whiskey infusion." That's what I said.
Yes. Yeah, there's no whiskey.
It's not.
There's no whiskey. No, so
There you go. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're going to put 20 mils of that in as well.
Yeah.
In our shaker. Then we're going to do some things which people are going to yell at me about, probably.
Okay. That's all right. Oh, you aren't.
We want to...
Are you actually...
deflate our sodas. So
Okay.
we're going to put them into the shaker, which everyone's going to be upset at me about, but it's okay.
Okay.
It will work. So putting 30 mils of soda.
Georgie Robinson, sorry. What are we making? I don't know. This is what we're making. It's a surprise.
And then we're going to use the Strangelove Cloudy Pear, the new local sodas they're doing, and we're doing 30 mils of that too.
Okay.
Straight in.
Okay, no.
Now to make everyone slightly happier, I will give it a slight stir to begin with to try and get some of those bubbles out.
I'm going to go over here when you shake that.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, famous last words.
It'll be fine.
Because I remember when I said that, I was like, it'll be fine. I'm going to shake this Prosecco. And that didn't end up fine. But in general, don't put...
In general, you don't put carbonated things in a shaker because as you shake it, the carbonation will come out and the shaker will want to pop apart and you'll just cover yourself.
Oh, Josh Nicholson, I need shots. Mate, do some shots of Jack. Get it done. Good to see you. Okay, I'm going over here.
It's going to be fine. So, one thing you can do when you're shaking with carbonated stuff is give it a couple of shakes, release some pressure, seal it back up, shake again.
All right, cool. Well, that was...
Didn't explode.
Cool. That was actually way better than I thought it would be. Hello, guys. Welcome on Instagram. Yay, coincidentally drinking coral right now. That's awesome. We freaking love coral. Tell us what your thoughts are. If you really enjoy it, that's fantastic. And tell us what you're drinking it with. And that reminds me, let us know what everyone, let us know what you're drinking this evening. We always love to hear what you're drinking because we are going to drink with you, which is pretty cool. That's why your shaker popped last night making a Tom Collins. Yeah, yep, that's exactly why. So that's why in future, when you make your Tom Collins, you shake all your non-carbonated stuff and then you top it with soda. That's
the correct way to do
That's
it.
going to be your key. That's going to get you. It'll be fine, is what we said in March about COVID. Yeah, that's fair enough. Welcome, Georgia. The nicest woman on the planet, Georgia Polari, is with us. Thank you. She gave me masks when I gave her a free cocktail. I just thought it was the nicest thing in the whole world. Josh, open up some cocktails. Do it. Punch some cocktails, my man. Punch some cocktails tonight, guys. Do some shots. Do whatever you need. Georgie, bloody love the coral with Cappy Yuzu. Yeah, cool.
It's a good combination.
Yeah, 100%. If you haven't tried the Brogan's Way stuff as well, you definitely need to get onto that. We're going to be making a drink tonight with their passion fruit gin liqueur, which is by far my favourite freaking thing that they make, but I have a massive sweet tooth, so you've got to forgive me. Coral is super yummy with Fever Tree Mediterranean, 100%. Sareka, if you're watching, hashtag mix with the best, baby. That's the way to do it. But here we go. This is the finished product. This looks gorgeous.
So then to garnish, basically, we're just using some of that wattle flour that actually came from Henry's garden the other week. And that was put into the infusion to begin with, so it actually has a little bit of that flavour in there too from the wattle flour. And now it's kind of crystallized and caramelized almost by being in all that sugar and alcohol as well. So it's now got this beautiful aromatic kind of crystallized flavour.
This just smells like toasted pears. Yeah. This just smells like a toasted pear Danish. Cheers. Well, you fart. No, I didn't make it. Cheers to you guys at home. I hope you're having a drink with us. If you are, let us know what you are having. Oh, guys, it looks like you guys are having a good evening. Drinking Hurdle Creek Steel Grain Genevieve. Yes. Glengarrick. Keeping the ginger with the ginger. Am I right? Katarina's having a little bit of Brogan's Way Hearts of Fire this evening.
Beautiful.
Enjoy. Well, we've got a little bit of that in this. Just doing a Hookies margarita, still moving in, Steve, and hope you sold your couch, my man, or at least got a little bit of money for it. Made some martinis with the Brogan's Way Royal Blood. Very, very good.
Excellent choice, Andrew.
Get out of here. That's fucking awesome. That just tastes like a pear Danish.
Yeah, so for like a 30-minute drink, that's not bad.
That's really good. That's so well put together. Oh, yum-yums.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, all right. Gee whiz. No, you can be a bit silent there. Sorry, that was my phone. If you just looked in your pocket then, you're addicted to your phone. Next up, we're going to have to make some brandy classics, because that one had a bit of marionette apricot brandy in it. That's what it was.
It did, but you brought some very special brandies along.
I brought a couple like cool little things to briefly discuss a little bit of brandy this evening. But our first one tonight that we're going to be making a drink with is Calvados, which we don't really see a lot of apple and pear brandy in Australia, funnily enough. We've got the Charles Oates Pommeau and the Charles Oates brandy. And there's a few other like small makers. Do you know anyone else who's making brandy on like a large scale?
Not really. I mean, there's the most common thing you see in bars, if it's not a good brandy-based bar or they don't really know what they're talking about, is going to be that black bottle brandy.
Yeah,
most
of
the
course.
time.
Yeah, always.
Otherwise, yeah, no, not really. Maybe some St. Remy's. That's about it.
Yeah, it's like St. Remy. I mean, a lot of people use Hennessy.
Yeah.
And like mass-produced cognac, but like it's not. I don't know. Point of the story: brandy is often underrepresented because brandy is a fantastic little, I suppose, subgenre of great brandies. Because this is a Calvados. This is Calvados de Roland. This is from the Pays d'Auge area, so this is predominantly apple brandy. So Calvados is basically split into three different parts. You've got up the north, which is Pays d'Auge. Then you have over just a little bit further to the east, you just have regular Calvados, which is kind of like a less strict place. And then you have Domfronte to the south and the east, which is mostly pears. And that's just because traditionally that's what they made. So this is from the north. There's quite a lot of apple in here. There's a little bit of pear, so it's really, really punchy and just a little bit fragrant, so nothing too massive. So what we're basically making was making a twist on the sidecar. The sidecar is probably one of those like classic, so one of those classic brandy or cognac drinks. 23rd Street as well, Peter. Yeah, 23rd Street do a really good job of making brandy as well. They have a sensational 5-year-old called Prime 5. And Not Your Nana's brandy is pretty good as well. Yeah. That's pretty tasty. In fact, we are using some 23rd Street later on in this stream, so get ready for that. So the original recipe actually came from the French school. So the sidecar, the sidecar was originally made just after World War I, named after the things that are on the sides of motorcycles, the sidecar, and so you would generally have this drink in equal parts. Was the original recipe. So you'd have equal parts cognac, equal parts triple sec, and equal parts lemon, and that was the French school of thought. And then that was in around the 1920s, and throughout the 20s, the drink morphed later to appear in Harry Craddock's, tome of cocktails in the early 1930s, where he did a 2-1-1 recipe. So 60 ml worth of cognac, 30 ml worth of triple sec, and 30 ml worth of lemon. Just get you drunk, really. This is a little bit pared back. We wanted to make this a little bit smaller, a little bit more sumptuous as well, like something a little bit more rich. So we got 45 mils worth of cognac, 15 mils worth of the Brogan's Way passion fruit liqueur. We then got 20 mils worth of lemon juice, and then we're just going to do another 5 mils of sugar, just to bring out a little bit of that flavor. Sugar for me is like salt in food. Yeah, right. Sugar in cocktails is like salt in food. Like it actually elevates
add in
everything.
that little touch with all those extra flavors, all those subtleties sitting in there.
Yeah.
Just that little bit of sweetness can bring it and make it shine.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, what's your favorite? Have you got like a favorite brandy cocktail? Because I know, like coming into tonight, you were a bit like, I don't really like rate. You weren't like I don't rate. I don't
rate brandy. Yeah. It's just that my experiences with brandy have been limited bartending in Australia. Even if we find a brandy that we really love in a bar sense, or that we really want to incorporate it in, it's then got to convince customers that they love brandy as well.
Yeah,
you can do that through great drinks. You can, but yeah, brandy's never been a huge number one that I've played with.
Yeah, brandy's sometimes a tough one because, especially in Australia, we don't really have access to like amazing cognac and stuff like that, and it's usually fairly expensive. But I mean, we've got St. Agnes here as well. Yeah. They're a fantastic maker of brandy and have been for a number of years. Like, they're stupendous.
But I think one of the limiting factors when playing with it in a bar sense is that is the limiting factor of convincing your boss to buy a couple $100 worth of brandy so you can play with it and develop things with it, which has been the main problem that I've found. We don't really
in my time.
We do have some brandy, but
sorry, these are low in fill, but that's because I've made one cocktail and I'm splitting it between 2 glasses. As in, I don't want to get breathalyzed on the way home tonight and be over. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, that was flair, bro. You're more than welcome. We're just garnishing it with some dehydrated lemon. So it's a nice little passion fruit sidecar to get us going. But yeah, sidecars were also like Clark Gable's favorite drink. Remember him? Yes. Remember Clark Gable?
Yes,
yeah,
favorite.
Yeah.
Not recently.
So Gone with the Wind, the guy from Gone with the Wind, he's the guy who said, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Apparently his favorite drink was a sidecar. So cheers to Clark Gable.
Cheers.
And cheers, my man. Enjoy. You. Cheers to the second drink of the evening. Oh, that'll do.
That's stunning.
That'll fucking do, won't it? Oofed, hello.
Yeah.
That's a drink.
This is really good.
Ooh.
This is a really good drink.
Ooh. Hello. Wine Boyo has said, drinking Dasma orange wine from Vic. Do you know it? I don't personally. Dasma?
Dasma? No.
Dasma? No, I don't know it, unfortunately. That's, I'm so sorry about that. Yes, so the specs for that drink were as follows. I'm going to put it down. It was 45 ml of Calvados. You've then got... God, it's going to do it in piecemeal. That's so annoying. So 45 ml Calvados. You then have 15 ml Brogan's Way. I'm going to try to spell it right. Brogan's Way Passion Fruit Liqueur. You then have 20 ml lemon. and 5 ml sugar syrup. Yeah, and just give it a good old shake and then strain it. That's a damn fine drink. That'll do very nicely.
That's very good.
Yeah.
It's very well balanced. It's not quite a bit
It's
of
not
citrus
oversweet.
and sour coming through. It's not overly sweet at all. The citrus balances off quite nicely with the passion fruit flavors leaking through as well.
That'll do.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you trial that before today?
Nope.
That's another
Didn't try
winner.
that at all. Just put that together in my brain, brain fortress. And that's what I did. But if you guys have a favorite cognac drink or a favorite brandy drink at home, or a favorite brandy that you want to tell us about, please let us know, because I think I brought one of my favorite brandies along with me tonight, which, as I said before, is this one. So if you haven't had this before, I'm going to flex on you all now. This is a single cask cognac from Remy Landier. It's a 2005 vintage, as in it was distilled in 2005. It was then disgorged in 2017, making it a 12-year-old single malt. A 12-year-old single barrel cognac. I said single malt. It's a 12-year-old single barrel cognac, and this is probably one of my favorites. So fresh, juicy bananas. You had a taste of it before. What did you think? Like, what were your tasting notes, if you will?
The first thing that hit me was in terms of a cognac or a brandy, it's the wood is smoother than a lot of the other ones that I've tried that have been aged for that amount of time.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's got more tropical flavors coming through than I thought it would as well for
Yeah.
a traditional brandy. It's damn good, and I'm very lucky that Henry brought it from his private collection.
Yeah, well, this was gifted to me by the wonderful Jose at Casa de Vino. So thank you very much. It's awesome. And if you want to grab get your hands on any kind of like specialty cognac, head to Casa de Vino in Port Melbourne, or go to their website if you can't drive 5 kilometers there if you're in Melbourne. But head to their website, grab yourself some Through the Grapevine cognac, because it's unfreaking believable. Peter Black has just said Dasma Wine Company. Here we go. Yeah, Dasma seems interesting. Let's do it. We're ready for cheersing. Queso della Hunty. Let's do it. Cheers. Yeah, not your Nana's brandy. It's good. It's good. The 23rd Street. It's done fine. And we had a question about how you make dehydrated lemon. Well, super easy. Well, you've actually got you've got it down. You've got it down to a fine science.
It depends how you want to make it. I mean, the easiest way is to get yourself a dehydrator, put them in a dehydrator, and set it and be done. Most dehydrators will come with instructions specific for that dehydrator of what you're doing. The way that we actually do it here is because I'm a bit of a stickler about getting them all looking the same and having kind of even edges and things. So I actually use a meat slicer to slice up all of the
You do.
citrus.
You have an electric meat slicer. I've seen
so
you
like
use it.
a deli meat slicer. I actually use that to slice up all the fruit, so it's exactly all 3 to 5
It's like
millimeters
3 mil thick.
Yeah, like you don't need to. It depends if you want to have that kind of like artisanal look where they're all hand done as well. But I didn't. We did them that way. And then what I do, there's 2 ways we do it. We make some gin soaked ones as well for use in the bar. So we actually soak that in our gin first, and then you put that in the dehydrator. That will give it a nice kind of glossy sheen to it. But if you really, really want like more of a kind of stained glass kind of look to it and have that real shine, halfway through a dehydration process, take them out, dunk them in some 1-to-1 sugar syrup, take them back out, put them back on your dehydrator, and they'll come out with that real shiny, glossy look. But because you've soaked them in gin first for like an hour, they'll also have the flavor of all the gin as well.
That's pretty fucking sick.
The easiest way, if you don't want to do all of that, is cut them by hand and throw them in a dehydrator, and that's it.
I don't think did we cheers on that one?
I thought we did, but we can go again.
We'll do it again. Cheers! Cheers to you at home. The second drink of the evening. Cheers! Sorry, people were like, cheers, you didn't have a sip or shit. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
I mean, if we want to talk about dehydration, I can go grab more dehydration fruits out.
That was really good. I'm really happy with that one. Yeah, Ben has dehydrated. We've dehydrated a whole bunch of different fruits here, which is pretty awesome. Normandie Mercier VSOP is always my go-to gnac for a treat. Yeah, that's awesome. Katarina has just said, how long do you soak them in gin?
We soak them for about an hour if we want to gin flavour them in there. If you want to just get that shine on them, they really only need to be kind of dunked in sugar syrup. It really depends what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So like we're doing some takeaway cocktails at the moment as well through our online shop. So for that, we actually did some apple, and we did cinnamon apple. So they're like that. It's getting nice and close.
Yeah.
So it's got a rim of cinnamon sugar around the edge. which works really nicely with takeaway cocktails because the apple doesn't go bad.
Yeah. And they taste freaking amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, not the best example, but you can see that's kind of stained glass-ish and shiny on the camera, hopefully. And the other way, if I put it maybe near the microphone, that's actually the dehydrated fruit. So you can hear it. It actually sounds like that.
Just like the percussion section.
Yeah, if you want me to do some drumming later, let me know.
So when it comes to Cognac and Calvados and also Armagnac to a certain extent, people often ask the question like, what's the difference between Cognac and Armagnac, right? Which is that's a good question. The first one is location. So Cognac is further north. It's actually also on the coast. We then have Gascony, which is further south and also near the Pyrenees, so it's near Spain as well. And you also have two different types of distillation that occur. So Cognac occurs in a Chambertin pot still. So it's a very specific style of pot still that's used. Funnily enough, Sullivan's Cove have a Chambertin pot still, which is super weird because they distill malt instead of grape, but they make really good malt whiskey, which is kind of freaking cool. And then in Armagnac, they actually use a column still, and they distill it once. So in Cognac, you usually get a spirit out at around 70% alcohol. You then place it in your cask that are only from two different forests. You have Limousin and Tronquet that you're allowed to harvest your trees from. And then in Armagnac, you distill once and it comes out at around 52%. And you can use whatever fucking trees you want because Armagnac is like, whatever. So that's actually the difference. You can use that in your Trivial Pursuit games, or whatever games you young folk are playing these days. But when it comes to like using Cognac in riffs we all know, we've got the Normandy, which is pretty cool.
We do.
Which is a pretty dope drink. Now, you're going to make one?
I am.
I love it. Let's make it happen.
So we are going to make a Normandy next.
Oh, just a little PSA. You can dehydrate liquids and turn into a powder. I've done dehydrated Campari before, but dehydrated brandy powder could be an excellent little rimmer. Oofed.
We did, not here, but a long time ago, we did just straight white vinegar.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to make vinegar powder so that we could make basically salt and vinegar rimmed things. And we were...
that's dope.
Basically, we got drunk at the bar one night after we closed, and we were eating salt and vinegar chips, and we were like, we could make a cocktail like this. And it just spiraled out of control from there.
Wait, did it work? Did you get dehydrated vinegar?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can.
The way you said that wasn't like, that didn't inspire me with confidence.
Yes, you can do it. The problem that we did is we had a little bit too much bicarb in there, so it had a bicarb flavor that came across, so we had to start again. But yes, it does work. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Do you really want to make a salt and vinegar cocktail?
Not
Probably
particularly.
not. But when you are drinking, it is a great idea.
Yeah, and like dehydrated Cynar is really good as well. That's freaking awesome. And yeah, you can dehydrate a whole host of different stuff and turn it into some really excellent cocktail ingredients. My personal favorite thing to use is like a blend of spirulina and koji and umami. And putting that on the sides of things. That's my favorite, but I stole that from Liqueur, and I'm not afraid to say it. I steal like an artist, bitches.
You gave him credit, it's fine.
I did, absolutely.
That's how it works, right?
So, yeah.
Right, guys?
Yeah. So, in terms of using Cognac or using Armagnac, or in this case, using Calvados, in a drink that's a bit more straightforward, we've got the Normandy.
Yeah, which is basically a Negroni where you take the gin out and you put brandy in this case, Calvados.
Yeah.
So you all probably know how to make a Negroni already, but we'll go through the process.
Yeah, let's do it. Kirsten Kane, how? Umami is... Oh, fuck! Umami's on the list.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
I forgot that umami was on the list. It's really frustrating. I didn't want umami to be on the list. Dehydrated and powdered green ant... What? Dehydrated and powdered green ants once. Jess Clayfield. Holy crap.
Jeez,
yeah, I now need to put this out to the crowd. What's the weirdest thing you've dehydrated? What's the weirdest thing? Dehydrated buttermilk noms. Steve, what are dehydrated buttermilk noms? Did you just dehydrate buttermilk and then like turn it into something?
And then you went noms?
There are a few recipes on the internet for vinegar powder, for salt and vinegar popcorn and the like. There we go.
Yeah. We followed those recipes, Peter, but just my recommendation is don't do it drunk,
Okay.
which is what we would do.
Oh, you were doing it drunk.
Yeah.
Well,
It was an idea that we found when drunk that we continued whilst drunk, and it, yeah.
well, I'm sorry for saying umami.
Did I say umami?
No, you did now.
Fuck.
So if you haven't watched this program before, we have a list of wanky words not to say, and umami is on the list. I have no idea why umami is on the list. Why is umami on the list? Kirsten, why is that on the list? I don't know. Noms are when you eat it. Welcome to Flavor Town. Oh. Hats and Tats has salt and vinegar popcorn. Holy shit. Cheers. Cheers to everyone at home. Oh. I'm sorry.
So for this one, because I don't want to steal too much of Henry's lovely brandy from his personal collection, I'm only going to do a half serve, or one cocktail split between 2 glasses.
No, it's all good.
So we've got 30 mils of the Calvados in there. We're using Made Night Sweet from the lovely boys at Made Night. And then we're going to finish it off with some Oka.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, I made myself sad. Don't make yourself sad. No, come on now. I think in context, you should have gotten away with umami. Thank you, Andrew. I think I should have gotten away with it as well. Are you really driving home? Well, I just did a shot of apricot brandy, so yes. Well, maybe, probably. I've heard also maybe don't do it inside. Some of the processes are meant to smell and be awful. Apparently with the vinegar powder. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
We did it in the kitchen, and we left the extraction fan on and walked away.
See, that's probably the way to do it.
I'm trying to think.
Like, the weirdest thing I dehydrated was, like, pineapple. Like, pineapple for me is, like, really pleasing when you dehydrate it. I really dehydrated much else.
I have a slight problem with dehydrating pineapple, or pineapple in general. And that's because I have an aversion to it a bit, because when I was younger, well, one, anything to do with Malibu and pineapple just ruins me, but also...
I thought we were about to hear, like, some trauma.
Well, it is traumatic.
It is.
My grandmother, when she was alive, she was English and used to like to cook traditional English recipes. And those of you might know that pineapple was seen as being this exotic tropical fruit, so you try and incorporate it in some of your cooking. So she would make casseroles with pineapple in it.
Oh, no. No.
Apparently it's a traditional English thing to do.
Yeah.
I was disgusted as a child that the casserole had pineapple and also
I think that's traditional.
sausages in it.
I don't think that's...
She was very old at the time. That may have had something to do with it.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
She may have been senile.
I'm not really sure that's an excuse. Katerina, I dehydrated apples and made kangaroo and emu jerky. That's fucking dope.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Holy crap. Thank you to Hokage Danzo Shimura, who has just given us some well wishes, I do believe from Japan, I'm just going to guess. Thanks, man.
Hajime mashite, boko bendes, dozo roshiku.
Hey. No, that's a weird thing to dehydrate, dehydrating apples. But I now want to ask, because you just mentioned putting pineapples in casserole, pineapple on, like, where should pineapple end? Pineapples on pizza.
You do you.
I think put it on there.
If you enjoy pineapple on your pizza, don't let someone tell you no.
Yeah, I think you should live how you want to live, and also if you put pineapple on a pizza, don't call it pizza then.
Well, it's also
call it pie.
It's also the same sort of way that we operate in the bar is don't tell someone how to enjoy themselves. So if someone comes to the bar and they order something very specific, or they want a gin and coke, I'll serve them a gin and coke because it's what they've asked for. But at the same time, if they come up and they say, how should I drink this? It's a chance to educate, it's a chance to have a discussion and a talk and discuss what we're drinking and how we're going to drink it. But if they come and they order something, great. So if someone comes and orders a Hawaiian, make them a Hawaiian.
Yeah, make them a Hawaiian. If someone does it in your own home, though, you can tell them that it is not a classy drink at all.
You don't have to be friends with them anymore.
You can kick them out. It doesn't really matter. Yes, pineapple on pizza. Thank you. It's a real... I fucking like it. It's really tasty.
Yeah. It is. So what you were
I feel like you're placating me.
No, it is. It is. I don't mind Hawaiian personally.
I mean, it's not my first choice.
No. But if someone said, hey, we've still got some Hawaiian left, do you want some? I would say yes.
Well, here we are, guys. Third drink of the evening. So this is a Normandy. So this is equal parts. It's just basically a Calvados Negroni, essentially. So this is the way, and you can use Cognac at home if you want, or some St. Agnes brandy if you're feeling classy, and chuck it in there. Cheers, guys. Cheers to you all. Happy third drink of the evening. Now, give me a shot of insulin and tell me that that's not a good drink.
That's a really, really good drink.
That's a really good drink.
Yeah, no, that's...
Oh! No, but see, here, this is the cool thing, and this is what I've been saying about Okar for like almost 50 streams now.
It works really well with
Okar
whiskey.
works really well with anything that's had a bit of oak contact on it, which I think is just ironic because oak is in its name.
True.
But that's the whole point. So like Okar works really well in Boulevardiers, Old Pals, Normandies, Jungle Birds, things where it's maybe tiki, where you're using rum or whiskey or cognac or brandy, or you're using a really balls to the wall gin or a barrel aged gin. It works really well. I like in a Negroni. Yeah, I mean it's good. It's okay. But I think it's overbearing. Whereas in that, it actually really fucking shines. It's so good. Oh my god. Pineapple can be a great base for a barbecue or sweet and sour sauce. 100%, Peter.
Yeah, it can. I'd also recommend, if you were going to make the Normandy at home, use a slightly more punchy kind of vermouth, like the Maiden Eye. Don't go with, say, the Regal Rogue sweet or the Bold Red, because that's a little bit more subtle in how it comes across. It'll be lost with the Calvados and the Okar.
Yeah, 100%. And Stephen, gin on pizza. I mean, if you can.
Are we going back to dehydrated gin powder on pizza?
Ooh, now here we go. This is what this stream is all about.
That could be interesting.
About pushing the boundaries. Curry Quarter Quartet, what it do, baby? Yeah, 100%. I couldn't say it better myself. I love it when he swears. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. You fucking legend. Do you have to use the dehydrator, or do you use the oven? You can use an oven.
You can use an oven as long as you're... One, don't use an old oven that may go out if it's gas, because that's dangerous. Two, make sure your oven can go down to, like, say, sub 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be boiling any liquid that's inside the fruit. You just kind of want to let it kind of steam off.
Yeah,
slowly.
you don't want to bake it. You want to dehydrate it.
Anywhere between 50 degrees for a slow dehydration up to 70. 70 will be obviously a little bit more aggressive in the way it dehydrates, so you'll get a little bit more shrinkage on the outside before it gets that middle part of the dehydration as well in the center of the fruit. So depending on, once again, how thick and thin you've sliced things, or whether you're just doing fruits, whether you're actually doing, larger vegetables, you can do meat as well. Simon, who actually is the director and Brogan's father from here, he's actually got a homemade dehydrator that he has where he makes biltong.
Awesome. Yeah.
Biltong?
South African, it's native to...
Southern African, not specifically to South Africa, but Southern African kind of like jerky, basically.
Because it was the Dutch population of, like, the South African colonizers who actually brought biltong there.
The Boers.
Yes, the Boers, yes, indeed.
But yeah, he actually makes gin-flavoured biltong, which I have tried because... He has a gin distillery, so why not flavour his biltong with his gin? And it's
that's a damn good idea. Might be an obvious question, but would dehydrated gin powder have reduced or zero alcohol content? I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, it would have zero alcohol content.
So ethanol or alcohol will boil at 70 degrees. So if you're dehydrating at, say, 70 degrees, all that ethanol will actually boil and evaporate off. Yeah. So 70 and above, and it will have no alcohol.
Yeah, so unfortunately...
As far as I know, maybe a chemist can chime in.
No, you're right. Okay. If you have any kind of fan-forced electric oven, put the fan on 50 degrees Celsius, leave it overnight.
Yeah, so
exactly.
If you've got like a keep warm setting on your oven, try that.
Yeah, it's seriously always the way to go. Georgie Robertson, we love Coral Gin. Well, my God, you're making me feel bad for not bringing it in and showing you how to make a few cocktails with it. My personal favorite is making a dirty martini from it, actually, because of the colour that's in there.
Yeah,
did you try that when I
haven't tried a dirty martini, but I actually like it just straight.
You like it straight?
Yeah, I like the coral just straight.
It's the way to go.
Yeah,
It's the way to go. It's a way to make it happen, Georgie. I mean, how do you like to have it? That's please let us know. And can you guys sing Broadway? You guys remind me of those guys.
Who are those guys?
I suppose the guys who sing Broadway. I mean, Ben actually has evidence of me singing, but that's when I was fucking plastered, and I'm not releasing that to the world just yet.
But I will. Send me an email.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just thinking, could use dehydrated booze powder to make tasty treats for teetotaling friends. You could.
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting if you actually did that. That'd be really cool. And Georgia, chemist in training here at 78 degrees is the boiling temperature. Absolutely. That's awesome. Georgia, do you have any other things like how to make, I don't know, I was about to say crystal.
Here we
go. Yeah, I was like, oh no. I was like, as soon as it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, don't fucking ask that. That's a terrible idea. But we've got one more cocktail for you this evening, and it's going to be really, really cool because we've done all the prep. And Andrew K, this is for you. So.
Oh, there you go.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be brandy. Like a bit of a brandy episode without talking about an Alexander, which is one of those kind of classic drinks that actually started with the gin Alexander, funnily enough, but then it moved on to the brandy Alexander. That caught a lot of attention. The brandy Alexander is, of course, a nice little blend of white creme de cacao, brandy, and cream. Now, I thought, and I'm sure, Andrew, you can see where I'm going with this, to make a clarified milk punch with it. So this is the cocktail right here. This is a clarified milk punch brandy Alexander. And in order to curdle the milk, we've used mandarin juice. So we've got around 200 mils worth of milk. We've used 60 mil worth of mandarin juice. We've combined that together over a low heat. We've curdled the milk. We've then poured in 450 mils worth of a marshmallow-infused 23rd Street Distillery. It's not your nana's brandy. And then 150 mils of white creme de cacao, and then filtered it over 8 hours. So this is a really, really cool cocktail that's already been put together. And we're just going to pour out a small little measure of it because it's already chilled, it's already diluted. So I'm going to say we pour out 45 mil. Just so we both can have a good serve. And then we're going to garnish it with Australian wildflowers. So you just need to grab your little wildflowers. Wait, come here, you little. There we go. And just float them on the top like that. So this is a really pretty drink. And that's what it looks like. So you can have a little look-see. But that's for you, Andrew. It's quite a little desserty number. I feel like coming over to your venue and mugging you for this cocktail. Well, look, we've got quite a bit of it, but cheers. Cheers to the final drink of the evening. Cheers to everyone here. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to be embarking on the games next, which is going to be quite a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm really glad I can keep that in my fridge.
I'm gonna steal it first, Andrew.
Yeah. That's
special. That's
yeah, that's really, and it's really easy to make. So just use it's 20 mils worth of milk. You curdle it with 200 mils worth of milk. You curdle it with 60 mils worth of mandarin juice. You then use 450 mil worth of cognac, and brandy in this case. We infused it with marshmallows. To infuse it with marshmallows, get a packet of marshmallows, put it in a jar, pour your bottle of brandy over the marshmallows and leave it for 24 hours. Hello, Melissa. Thank you for joining us this evening. Milk clarified drinks are my weak point. Dude, definitely try this recipe then. because you use the same 45 to 15 measurement. It's just the cream element that you're actually taking out and making a bit larger. So it's really, really cool. And you can do this at home, and it's super, super easy. And you get this beautiful drink, and you can store this in your fridge for a freaking long time, because milk clarified drinks last for a long time, because you filter them through casein protein. So yeah, it's pretty freaking cool. Do you feel like cocktails should be a bit bigger for the price in Australia? Sometimes I do, but it depends on the glass.
Yes, it also depends what's inside of the glass.
Yeah, this is true. Look, I think it's one of those hard things where, like, I don't know, like, I always want a bigger drink, of course. And of course I don't want to pay more for a bigger drink. I think it stands to reason. I think really the thing we need to talk about when you ask that question, the bigger question is taxation.
Yes. Yeah.
Taxation on distilleries, making sure that distilleries aren't paying a huge amount of money, making sure that people aren't paying a massive amount of money for liquor licenses, improving overheads, because then we could have a more Americanized style system in many ways.
As long as we don't start paying the bar staff less
Yeah.
as well. Because over in places like America where you do have cheaper drinks, they are paid so little as bar staff that it's I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
The taxation on distilleries, yes, that would be fair enough. For an example, if we made all of Brogan's Way stuff in New Zealand and shipped it over here, we could have a lower price point than making it in Australia. And that's mainly down to Australian tax laws.
Sucks. That's just the worst. Because how is that supporting Australian industry?
It's not.
It's
really.
not.
It's not.
It's not. Zeke, good to see you, my man. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying active during this fucking apocalyptic bloodbath that we're in. Ban the spirit super tax. Absolutely. Let's start it here. Ban the spirit super tax.
Well, I mean, like...
I love it. You're just like, don't chant. Please don't start a chant.
It's more that, like... I mean, most of your viewers will probably already understand and know because they're already quite knowledgeable about the industry and what they're doing in drinking. But for lay people, if you're selling for figures $100 bottle of gin, you're paying $52 to $58 worth of tax to the government before anything else happens. So it's difficult for most Australian producers to make something that's as competitive as what an international company in mass production can import into Australia.
Yeah.
So it's tricky for Australian producers.
Yeah, and that's also why we need to support local, especially during this time, and make a concerted effort to, shop online at distilleries that are in Australia, make sure that, they deliver so that, they can get the full margin, so they can stay alive through this pretty crappy...
Average time.
Let's call it pretty average.
Yeah.
Are we happy with the drink? I'm very happy. I'm stoked with the drinks this evening. Each of these
really
have been
fucking good.
bangers.
Yeah.
These have been bangers this evening. If you need some of the recipes, hit us up because boy oh boy, you will not be disappointed. Andrew, we can arrange for that recipe to be given to you, of course. But guess what? I've got something for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You know what to do. If you haven't watched this program before, my God, we are about to descend into the chaos that is the last two games of this program. So we have, first of all, a game called What's That Bitter Taste in My Mouth? It's a blind tasting Amaro game where we try to demystify the wide world of Amaro. Cue the basketball sirens that I do with my mouth. How good was that? I'm really starting to get good at it. Oh, stop it,
great.
You're being too kind. So,
I'm going to buy you an air horn.
please. So this evening, we've got these wonderful Amaros sitting in front of us. Now, the first thing that we do is we obviously taste it, see what we taste. We give it a few tasting notes because I haven't dropped them all off at your houses. That would be weird. Why do I know where you live? Why was I in different places? So we're going to taste it first, then we're going to figure out where it's from, and then we are going to move on to try to guess what it is. So here we go. You ready, man? Here we go. Yeah. So this is our Amaro this evening. It's a nice little dark ruby colour. Oh. And the rate goes up next week because it does every 6 months.
I thought it was on hold.
I thought it was on hold too, Kirsten. Really? Is it going up? That fucking sucks. I hope not. And I've never tried mandarin juice to curdle milk. I'll have to look into it. Yeah, definitely do. It doesn't produce the most...
In season at the moment, aren't they?
Yes, they certainly are. It doesn't produce the most vigorous curdle, but it definitely does the job. Mate, Zeke, I'll definitely try to drop off a drink to you, my man. Don't you stress. So, what do we get from this? It's quite winey.
It is. I get some plum notes coming through. Tannins at the back end.
Yeah, it's like plum, cassis, blackberries. It's quite succulent and juicy. There's not too much bitterness. It's more of like an aperitif.
Yeah, it's more, I would almost say it's more sour than bitter, quite easily.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Oofed.
Could definitely feel the tannins on my teeth afterwards as well.
It's quite tart.
Yeah.
Yeah, some tartiness. So do we think it's Old World or New World?
Old World.
You are goddamn right, it is Old World. Now, do you think that it is from Italy? Do you think it is from Germany? Or do you think it is from France? This is where it gets a little tough.
I'm gonna go German.
Mm-hmm. Why are you gonna go German? What about this makes you think German?
The darker berry notes.
Okay.
Mainly.
Yeah, okay.
Mainly. Like
Right.
Black Forest vibes.
Mm-hmm.
It just, to me, it's more of a German Amaro.
Okay.
That's,
It's
I
French.
may be completely wrong.
It's French.
It's French.
It's French.
Yeah.
So funnily enough, it's a bit of a tough one because like there's some northern Italian like Vino Mares that are kind of similar to this.
Yeah.
Because this is a Vino Mare, so it is a wine Amaro. So like when I think of Midnight Nocturne, it's kind of similar to this in many ways.
That
Like
is
there's a few similarities. There's obviously, I think Maiden Eye is probably a little bit better than this, but that's just
no truffle in here.
There's sadly no truffle. There's no truffle. But it is still quite interesting. So it's a French aperitif. It's a Vino Mare.
It's delicious.
It's quite good.
Really,
It's
really
very,
good.
very good. Do you know what it might be?
No, I have no idea.
The Queen likes it.
Is it? It's not fucking Pims, is it?
No, it's not Pims. No, if I give you fucking Pims,
I was
kill
like,
me.
yeah, I
Plus,
was
that's a Trader Gin. It's not really an Amaro.
No, that's why
Was
I
this-
was confused.
Yeah, this is technically an Amaro.
Oh,
It's Dubonnet. It's Dubonnet.
It's her favorite
Yeah.
fucking drink in the afternoon. Yeah, okay.
Dubonnet, baby. But yeah, Dubonnet is damn good. So the next time you're thinking about stirring down a nice little drink, maybe a Martinez with Dubonnet would be quite good.
Yeah,
That'd be quite cool.
yeah.
I'd really enjoy that. But yeah, Dubonnet is tons of fun to use. So definitely jump on it. Now, it's time for, are you ready for the next one?
Not really. Not after last time.
Oh,
Do you remember the last Mahalo drink we made?
Yeah, I remember the last Mahalo drink we made.
You spat it
I
on me.
spat it. I didn't spit it on you. I spit it next to you. I didn't spit it on you.
The stream didn't catch it, but there was a spray all over.
There was a spray. It wasn't. I didn't spit on you though.
I had to clean the glass in the fridge.
Okay. Well, that's not what happened. So our next game is funniest home cocktails. Now, if you haven't watched this section before, this is where we delve into the library of Mahalo drinks. 10 years ago, a wannabe company that wanted to be like Google called Mahalo.net released a whole bunch of videos where they hired a very good bartender and aspiring actress at the time to make drinks, and they gave her a whole bunch of recipes. She told them they were wrong, but they made her do it anyway. So we try to make these drinks as faithfully as we can, and just see what those idiots at Mahalo were trying to do. So here we go. Australia's funniest home cocktails. Let's make it happen. Now, oh boy, we need to go over here. Sorry, just give me a second. Whoop, 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 whoop.
I need like a pint.
Yeah, you do. Well, I'm not sure you're going to need a pint glass for this, actually. Here we go. Oh, no, you will need a pint glass for this. Yes, you will. Yes, our cocktail this evening is known as a Madras. Oh, that's a fucking pint. That's an actual
That's the
pint glass.
closest thing I have to a pint glass.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. So, a madras. Have you ever made a madras before?
No. I've made a version of it, but no.
Okay. Do we have vodka? Yeah, we do. It's over there. Alrighty. So this drink this evening. Here we go. Are you ready, man? Are you ready?
I'm making as she's making.
Yep. You're gonna make it as she makes it. So I would fill up that. I'd fill up
with
that
ice?
glass. Yeah, I'd fill it up with ice. Here we go. We're gonna rock and roll. Alrighty. Let me just get this over here. Alrighty. Here we go, people. Let's make it happen.
Hi, I'm Janae from Mahalo.com, and I'm going to teach you how to make a madras. Now, for those of you who can't decide between a vodka orange juice and a vodka cranberry, well, you don't have to decide. Why not have both?
¿Por qué no los dos? Why not have both?
Yeah. No.
I'm one of those people who can't decide between.
Cranberry and orange?
Absolutely.
I got orange.
Go cranberry.
There you go.
I do.
Together, we're madras.
Here we go. It's the madras.
And that's basically what this drink is. So for those of you who are always like, oh, can I get a little vodka OJ with a splash of cran? Or, this is the correct name for it. It's a madras. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and put 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces, if you want it a little bit stronger, of your vodka into a glass full with ice.
God.
And then you're going to do equal parts of your cranberry and orange juice.
Oh, at the same time! Don't cross the streams!
All right. Garnish it with a lime.
We don't have a
And
lime.
that is how you make a madras.
Oh, dear me. We don't have a lime, do we? Oh, you've got dehydrated limes. That is, two great tastes that taste great together. Andrew, you are damn right. Oh, we've got a dehydrated lime. Oh, goody. She sounds hot. Is she? Yeah. I guess. Sure. Depends what your flavor is. My God. All right. I'm just going to give this a straw test. You can sip this if you like.
I know she didn't do that, but it's all vodka at the bottom.
Yeah.
So
Alrighty.
it's just gonna taste like juice.
That's juice.
right?
That's juice. Look, if you wanted to get really drunk, that's what you should do.
It tastes like orange juice and cranberry. It's
Like, that's really good.
yeah, but it's
Like, in the capacity that it just tastes like juice. Like,
Yeah.
I could mainline that.
absolutely because it's just alcoholic orange and cranberry juice.
Yeah.
You don't know you're getting drunk until it's too late.
Yeah. But I kind of like it.
Yeah, oh, look, on a hot summer's day, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. Would
If
I
I was
go
hanging out
and-
by the pool in Florida,
For sure.
I would drink that.
Would I go out and order that? No. Can you consider that a cocktail? Not really.
Yeah.
It, kind of a
Got
mix.
3 ingredients.
It does have 3 ingredients, that is true.
That's the only way I can justify it being called a cocktail. But
I'd call it a mixed drink if that, but
I really? Would you be one of those people who's like, it's actually a vodka, orange, and cranberry?
that's what it is.
That's
what it is.
It's just like, yep, that's exactly what I would say. Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
Indeed. Aren't most limes dehydrated? Asking for a friend. Peter Black, double fisting. Absolutely. We double fisted the crap out of that. That is absolutely true. You double fisted that real well. Well, guys.
Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that drink, but it just reminds me of, only
Cruises.
18-year-olds,
Yeah,
19-year-olds
cruises.
drinking, not 16, 17-year-old parties, but
Yeah.
definitely 18-year-olds drinking that.
Absolutely.
That's-
Unfortunately, guys, we have to sign off because we got to get home before our curfew. That's right. We are broadcasting live from Melbourne. Ben, thank you for joining me. But guess what? Ben's going to be joining me for the rest of eternity doing this show because
You're not allowed guests?
I'm not allowed guests anymore. So come back. We will, however, be having guests via Zoom. So on Wednesday, we've got the wonderful Sasha Norse joining us. He's ex-Starwood. He's now beneath Driver Lane. We're going to be talking all about herbs and how you can grab some stuff out of maybe your home garden at home and make some delicious cocktails with it and do some really, really cool stuff if you have the right ingredients and if you have the right methodology. So we're going to be going all through that. So join us again at 6:30 on Wednesday. Yep, that's the day. On Wednesday, and we're going to be going through that. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be dope. So yes, join us then, guys, and have a sensational evening. If you are in Melbourne, stay safe, stay inside, stay home, wash your hands. If you're everywhere else, be safe. And always, as always, head to the Brogan's website, the Brogan's Way website, sorry. Use the code Henry. You get 5% off and free shipping for orders over $60. Grab yourself some Brogan's Way passion fruit, for God's sake. It's the most delicious thing in the world, and you're going to need it. So enjoy. Have a sensational evening. We will see you Wednesday.
See you later, guys.
For another episode. Good night.
Oh, that's nice.
The sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.